and welcome to the wealth building mini class, Money Lessons Your Kids Are Not Taught at Schools. I'm Millen, Livis, your financial independence mentor. And today I'm going to share with you the part 2 of this 2 video series. So you will see the difference between part 1 and part 2. Now, first of all, I want to start with saying thank you for taking time to watch this video, whether you watch me live or in recording. I really appreciate your time. I know you're very busy. And I also want to tell you that whether you're a mother or soon-to-be mother or grandmother, what I'm teaching you, what I'm sharing with you will be so important for you to know and to at some point share with your kids or grandkids, because unfortunately our children get all kinds of knowledge at school, geometry, history, you name it, but something that's so important and so relevant to their success in life, having practical, what I call real-time skills to have about being independent, being self-sufficient, unfortunately are not taught at schools. And by the way, one of my students mentioned that I should teach this lessons in schools. And my response is that I actually want to help mothers and grandmothers to get this information. So first of all, some of this may be educational for them, because they also were not taught this lessons at school. But also they will become aware of how important certain aspects of this basic financial literacy for our kids. Okay, so please take these lessons to heart and use them. Now, if you, so I compiled in total 13 lessons that I think if I was in charge of our education, children education, I would definitely find a way to introduce this. So 13 lessons in total, but in part 1, I already covered first 6 of them, and today we're gonna cover the rest 7 lessons. Now, before we go over those lessons, I want to share with you something. So I ask a question in my group, Wealth Building for Powerful Women. I ask question in response to the comment that, you know, last time I mentioned that money is not a thing. Money has a meaning that we assign to it, right? So it's not always easy for us to comprehend because we're not used to this notion that money is not the thing, right? You can say money is evil, it's hard to get, you have to work hard for the money, or you can say money is a normal form of value exchange, and money is my friend, etc. So it's your responsibility as a parent to instill healthy values, healthy money beliefs in your kids. So one of my students, I asked her if there is she mentioned that it's not easy for her to feel that money is not the thing. And when I asked if there is some particular event that comes to mind when she feels that way, she mentioned that when she was young and, you know, as a little kid, she was trying to save money and, you know, hoard them so she could buy probably, I don't know, ice cream or toys or whatever. And then her brother will come and say, you have too much, and take this money, basically steal it from her forcefully, take it forcefully from her. So she felt very frustrated about this experience, so frustrated that even now that she's a mother herself and you know, very smart, very successful woman, this memory still feels alive to her, still very charged. So first of all, I just want to tell you that we store not only our thoughts that we experienced a long time before, but also our feelings. We store them in our body. So it's very important to remember that if you want to reprogram yourself for something different that you experience right now, it should include money, your mind and your body. The second thing I want to tell you that it's very important for us parents to talk to our kids about values. For example, I recall as well my experience with my sister when we lived in a former Soviet Union and we didn't have a lot of citrus there, and the fruits were seasonal. So I remember that I always loved oranges. So she hoarded her orange that she received and didn't eat the whole thing. And of course, I ate the whole thing, and then I felt bad that she still had it and I did not. And I felt it was unfair that, you know, she would not share it with me, because I didn't have, after I ate the whole thing, I didn't have any, and she still had this. So I felt that she should share with me. Guess what it is? Just like what I shared with you before, experience that my former student shared with me. It is a redistribution of value, or, you know, in modern terms, it's redistribution of wealth. So you have to be very clear what values you communicate to your children when a situation like that happens, right? So be very aware, be very mindful, because our children are like sponges, right? They get whatever they see, whatever they hear, they absorb this, and it becomes your values become their values, your beliefs become their beliefs. So that becomes their model of the world. So we as parents have huge responsibility to instill healthy values, values that really will help our kids to be kind and loving and successful in life, right? So I just wanted to bring this to your attention before we start going over the 7 to 13 lessons that I want to share with you today, all right? So I don't see any questions, so let me start. Okay, so lesson number 7 today. You've got to know the difference between assets and liabilities. You've got to explain children that there are assets and there are liabilities. For example, if you have a car, is it an asset? Maybe it is. But if you have a car loan, it becomes a liability. If you have a house and you have a mortgage on a house, is it an asset or a liability? Well, as long as you have a mortgage to pay for the house, bank owns it, right? And it's a liability. So it's very important to explain to your children or grandchildren that the more liabilities they have, the less money would be for them. And the less liabilities and more assets, the more money would be for them. Very simple, very easy. You don't need to go into intricacy of particular financial statements or something like that. Just like that. All right. Okay. So moving along. Next lesson, number 8. Okay. So there are 3 types of income. Earned income that people receive from their job or business in the form of paycheck. So when there's capital appreciation or capital gain, when they have some asset that appreciated in value and they sell this asset, so they receive the capital gain from the difference between what they paid originally and what they sold it for. So that's a capital gain income. And the third form of income is passive income, when you receive money without exchanging your time for this money, right? So explain to them that, like, for example, passive income, in order to receive passive income, you've got to have investments. You need to invest in the assets that would appreciate in value, hopefully, and also provide you consistent income without you needing to exchange your time for income. So that's what I wanted to bring to your attention. When you talk to kids, explain to them this three types of income and what is the difference. So again, the first one, it's earned income where you exchange your time for money, whether it's a business or a job. And then capital gain income, when you sell the asset. And then the last one is passive income, right? When you have assets that provide you passive income. Okay, if you don't have any questions, I want to move on to question number 9. This is very interesting notion that it's super important that you instill in your kids' young, fresh minds from the very early age. Savings are seeds for their wealth. Savings are seeds for their wealth. And investing, it's like using fertilizer for the seeds, so the wealth will grow. So, this is a good lesson for many adults. So they will try to have more savings so they could invest and grow their wealth. But it's also very important for kids to know that, they can and will create wealth in their lives and potentially create financial independence if it's important for them, as long as they know that they need to save money, and then so they will have the seeds for their wealth, and then invest this money so that this money will grow. So very important to share this lesson to them. Again, your savings are seeds for your wealth, and investing is like a fertilizer for these seeds to grow wealth. Okay, so again, please make sure that you convey this message to your kids and grandkids. Okay, all right, so next one, what I want to say, okay, so you can create wealth by building a business, right? When you build a business, you create wealth by offering services to other people who are services that are needed and people are willing to pay for them. Or you can buy the business. So you don't necessarily need to build business, you can buy a business. That's another form of creating wealth, financial wealth. I'm talking about financial wealth. And then you can also you can also invest your money and have assets that appreciate in value and also pay you income. And that's another form of growing wealth. So in the assets, it's important that they know that the investment should appreciate in value over time. So they've got to know that investing in buying a car, it's not really investment, right? So it's a necessity that we just have to do, just like we need to eat and we need to go to work. But investing in stocks, investing in bonds, investing in real estate and other alternative assets, these are investments that will grow over time in value. And that's the third form of creating wealth. Again, you can build a business, you can buy the business, or you can invest your money, and that's how you grow wealth. Okay, so I don't see questions yet, and we are moving on to the next lesson that I wanted to share with you, which states that to accelerate your wealth growth, you've got to have multiple sources of income, and preferably multiple streams from each of these sources. For example, if you have only one source of income, if it's your job, right, and something happens in life, and that's life, things happen, then you will not have a backup. You will not have opportunity to rely on another income. And that's why all wealthy people, all financially independent people, they all have multiple sources of income. Okay, so it's very important to convey to your kids or grandkids that when you and maybe give them examples. When you have multiple sources of income, for example, if you have real estate property and you have multiple houses or apartments, or you have apartment building, then each stream of income from each of the tenants is a separate stream of income from the source, which is, for example, this house or this apartment building, right? And then you can also have multiple streams of income from dividend paying stocks. But you know, if we're talking about this lessons with you know, kid like maybe younger than 10, maybe you don't need to go into details. But with teenagers, 15 and older, definitely explain to them how they can create multiple streams, multiple sources of income, and multiple streams of income from different sources, so they can grow wealth faster. They can accelerate their wealth growth. Okay, so very, very important lesson, and I hope that you will take a note of it. Okay, so next lesson that I wanted to share with you, it's also very important. It's not about so much how much money you make, but it's very, very important to, what is important is how much money you keep, right? Because I'm sure you know, and I definitely know a lot of people that are high earners. They make high 6 figures and sometimes 7 figures, and yet their debt is even higher, right? So their spending rate is so high that, you know, even though they make a lot of money, they don't keep a lot of money. So this is very important lesson to convey to your children, that it's not about it's not so much about how much money you make, but how much money you keep. Because I personally met people who didn't have high-paying jobs, but they managed to spend less than they make, and they accumulated a nice chunk of savings, and they invested, and they better off than some people that have high salaries, right? So that's a very important lesson to share with your children. And the final lesson, and I don't know if you noticed that today I have a little bit of more focus on growing wealth, right? So it's a little bit more, for children, it's a more advanced topic. So just make sure that you talk about these things with probably teenagers, not youngsters, right? Not toddlers, for sure. So the third lesson that I wanted to share with you is that you should never put all your eggs in the same basket, right? So you never invest all your money in one stock, in one mutual fund, in one house, in one anything, pretty much, right? Because then you increase your risk. When you diversify, meaning that when you split the investment funds that you have among different kinds of assets, then, you know, maybe if this stock will not perform well, you will not lose too much money, because the other stock that you diversify in will perform well. And the same with real estate, right? So that's this is like the very, very important lesson for strategic investing, and that I teach as well, because it's one of several risk management techniques that I teach. And you know, the common sense way of saying this, don't put all your eggs in the same basket, because if this basket will drop, and then you will lose all your eggs, right? So that's how you can explain it to kids. But if you put eggs in different baskets and something happens and you drop one of them, then you still have other eggs in other baskets. So that's a very simple way to explain to children how important it is not to put their money into one anything, right? One asset. Okay, so, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. So I would love to hear from you. Again, please remember that you've got to educate yourself in order to model to your children how to be financially successful, how to be financially savvy. I think that especially mothers, because we spend usually more time with our kids, it's very important that we model them a healthy and successful relationship with money, successful money story. So they will not grow being fearful of money. They will not grow thinking that, you know, I was not born in a wealthy family, so I will never be able to be financially independent. And you don't want them to feel that, you know, money is something bad, that you know, it's scary, right? So, but unfortunately, a lot of children inherit this this model of the financial world, right? So that's our responsibility as parents to model something that is very positive and very model for success. So be a model for success to your child. And also, I want to remind you that very often our children are our best teachers, because you will see how they feel, what they say, and that's kind of like a mirror for you, because you know that you probably said something like that or did something that affected your child, and you know, maybe form this belief that they now have. So that would be a good idea to have a conversation on this topic. Like if you feel it's not good for them to have this belief around money and wealth and wealthy people, etc. But it all starts with you, with your education, with your financial literacy. And I think it's your responsibility to grow and become financially savvy, because none of us want to depend on our children in our golden age, right? To expect them to take care of us. So that's why I'm saying that start with you. And that's why I spend my life working with busy professional women, helping them to develop habits and thinking patterns and beliefs that will propel them to better financial reality and eventually to financial independence. I would love to hear from you. Let me know if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions. Maybe you have another lessons that I didn't mention. I would love to hear from you. That would be awesome. And what else? I also want to tell you a couple of quick announcements. So pay attention, starting next week. I have something very, very exciting to share with you. Super duper new, very impactful, very powerful training, which I will officially announce next week. And also tomorrow, you know that this is Valentine's Day week on Friday, and I decided to share with you something that I have never shared before. It's very personal, and I'm doing this live video stream tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern time, the same place, and I will share with you my confession why I hate Valentine's Day. I hope you will be able to join me tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time today, to your peace, power, and prosperity.